This is Open to Work, honest conversations about looking for work, getting work, and what to do when there is no work. Rick Spence is CEO and founder of Rawkus, a production company that has a lot of experience in branded content, an area that's getting a lot of attention, particularly at the moment. Rick, thank you so much for joining us today. Could you just give us a little bit of background on what Rawkus is and what some of the work that you've put out into the world that we might have seen?
Rawkus is a creative content agency, is what we'd like to call it. So basically, I've got a background in TV production. I was executive producer of Backyard Blitz and Burke's Backyard and Renovation Rescue and Top Gear here in Australia and a few others. And then kind of branched out into branded entertainment. So I did my first branded TV show in 1994. So it was always, with the changing and evolution of the TV landscape, I kind of wanted to move more into telling brand stories as well. And so then got into kind of media brands as the head of content there at Ensemble. We did Bunnings content strategy, took them from 4,000 video views a month to about 2.5 million a month. So I believe in the power of storytelling, no matter what the platform is. I guess that's where we're different. And we really look at TV as a great channel for awareness, but everything that we do gets smashed up and used across as many platforms and sees as many eyes as possible. So our mantra is kind of eyes on content. That's what we're about.
That's a great mantra to have. I like that. I might just get you to define for anybody watching, what is branded content?
Branded content is the ability to tell stories of brands. Every brand has a story. Every brand exists for a reason, and it's about connecting with their consumers and their audience on a deeper level, rather than just advertising. There's that old thing about advertising being the kiss and content is the relationship. It's really about making sure that your audience knows who you are as a brand, that you're providing entertainment, information, or giving them an extra service that allows them to connect more meaningfully with you and come back and buy your product or your service or whatever it is. So we see it as a real pivotal piece in a marketing strategy to be able to drive engagement and conversion for clients.
Branded content is not something that's new. I was making branded content shows for WTFN 25 years ago around cars and pets, but I think it's getting a lot of attention at the moment. Why do you think it's getting so much attention right now? I
think it's getting a lot of attention because the diversification of the media landscape. It's kind of that simple. In the old days when I was doing Backyard Blitz and it was an extremely successful show for a number of years, brands, the only way to interact and get to their audience was through one channel, like TV and print and radio and all those kind of traditional things. With the diversification of the media landscape, it becomes more important for brands to have their share of voice. And I think the networks obviously, are looking for new revenue ways to be able to tell great stories and to be able to keep audience and keep brands engaged. And I think that's where things are really shifting and exciting at the moment, is that there are new models and new ways for brands to be able to connect with their audiences, and we're seeing that a lot more. I think in the old days, when we were talking about the shows that you were doing, I was doing the same sort of thing. When I first started being an executive producer, I was doing a show called Golf Australia for Channel 9, which ran, at 11:30 on a Sunday morning or something. And so when it was in the old days, when it was kind of when you were doing the brand funded piece, it was very much around, go and see the brand funded guy down the corridor. He looks after the schedule on a Sunday afternoon. Whereas now, in the last 5 to 10 years, I've done prime time branded entertainment shows for Target, for McDonald's, for CommBank, for Bunnings. So there is an appetite where the content is made by a good someone who knows what they're doing. It's a good idea first and foremost, and the brands are well integrated. Then there's an opportunity for better time slots and more sort of creative funding models.
I think that a lot of producers, and I'm certainly having a lot of conversations with people at the moment, they see branded content as kind of a savior for the industry a little bit. It's like, right, the networks aren't paying as much as we'd like, and we're having trouble finding audience or whatever it might be. Let's just go and make some branded content And I don't think that's the right question or that's the right attitude to have right now. What are some of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to branded content?
I think the greatest misconception about branded content is that it needs to be cheap, or the production value is not as great, and also that it's not it doesn't have a place in prime time viewing, and also that, that because a brand is involved, that they're going to want their logo every third or fourth second, right? It's not about that. It's become much more sophisticated than that. The way I look at it is all content is brand funded. Unless you're on the, selling to the ABC or SBS, it's very much every show is funded by a brand in some way. Whether you're the Block and you've got Bunnings now, I think, not Mitre 10, but you've got brands supporting the program through a different channel. The only difference is that now the brand is supporting the production of the funding, which I argue for brands is, potentially they get to control the narrative a little bit more. They get to have a bit more involvement in the process. Their messaging can be more, can be well integrated. Brand funded has a stigma about it, when really it can be prime time, well executed, great storytelling that's got jeopardy and engagement and all the things that make great TV and great content, and can sit well on a network slot and drive great audience.
Do you see audience attitudes changing towards branded content?
Oh yeah, I think there's definitely a shift. I think that the thing is, it's like anything. There are good shows, there are bad shows. There are good commission shows, there are bad commission shows. It's the same. The good branded entertainment shows are the ones that don't feel like a branded entertainment show. That the narrative works in with the brand's mission and doesn't stick out and doesn't, that's the secret sauce. The trick to doing that is making sure that the brands are naturally aligned with what the show's about. So that's where we're seeing attitudes change when the network comes back and says, that show's really good, it's a really strong show that holds together well as a story first, and the brand is well integrated into it. Whereas I think sometimes, I've been on the other side of it, when you're an EP for a commission show, sometimes, and in the brand funded space as well, sometimes that alignment doesn't necessarily come together. So I think choosing your partners and making branded entertainment that makes sense with the program that you're making is critical in making a show that is compelling, that works for the partners as well as working for the brand.
I want to shift to kind of working within this space now, because a lot of people watching this video will work in television. As we all know, contracts are getting shorter, the time between contracts is getting longer, and I think that a lot of people in the technical and creative side are looking for new opportunities. What opportunities are there in the brand funded space? How do you crew your shows? How do you bring a team together? Do we as producers need a different set of skills coming from a commissioned show to a brand funded show?
I think the fundamental things that make the TV industry great, the ability to get anything done, the ability to think outside the square and do great things and just get stuff done is something that I think is a great trait that holds you in good stead if you've had a TV background in any genre. I guess the trick with it is always around budget. Is there going to be $10 million for 8 episodes of a brand funded show? Probably not. Generally, the budgets are less. So what does that mean? It just means being adaptable to what you might need to do, I guess, and understanding that you're just trying to create a great story and trying to create a great product and a great integration for the brand and most importantly, an awesome show for the network, who without the networks, we have nothing. And if we have to deliver, first and foremost, a premium show to the network that is going to make sure that they drive audience, because at the end of the day, that's all they care about.
Somebody watching this today wants to get more into the brand funded space. Maybe it's with you, maybe they want to start their own thing, maybe it's on television, maybe it's online. What's something they can start doing today?
I think the thing with it is to be inspired by great branded content and read case studies on people like Red Bull and those kind of things, and see how branded content for that brand has such a meaning that sits outside of what they do. You can try and get a real understanding of how content aligns with brands and understand about the kind of YouTube content strategy of, help hub and hero content and how that works for a brand and how you can build that out. And that's certainly what we did with Bunnings. We did 700 pieces of help content. We did hub content, which was inspirational, and then we did hero content, which is a TV show. And that creates a whole universe of content for them that drives audiences and solves an audience need. So I think that's the most important thing. When you're looking through the lens of branded content, it's not just about making a compelling piece of content, which is the most important thing, but also understanding how that functions for the brand. What's the strategy of the brand at that time? What are they trying to say through this piece of content? What does it mean for them? And how does that align with the story that I'm trying to tell? I think that's really the key with it.
Rick, that's amazing advice, and it's incredible to talk to you today about branded content because, as I said, I think a lot of people are talking about it today and seeing it as a bit of a saviour for the industry, really. Well, thank you so much for your advice and for the chat today, Rick. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks to my guest, Rick Spence. Thanks to Lowkii Productions for helping me put all of this together. And thanks to you for watching. See you next time.